Hi, and welcome to Sound Off with System One. I'm your host, Allie Moen, here with a panel of experts, Matt, Kevin, and T, to talk to you today about how you can set yourself apart from the competition so that you can score that remote gig that you've been working so hard towards. I'm also here with Krista, a new member of the marketing host of Sound Off with System One.
Hi, everyone. Yes, this is my first week here at System One. I'm really excited to be co-hosting. Before we get started, just a few words on System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life science, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 9,000 contractors to work in the US, Canada, and the UK.
Thanks so much, Krista, and so happy that your first week, you're already on our LinkedIn live stream with us, so welcome. As you're tuning in today for Sound Off, please join us in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from and what industry you work in. I do have Rich from our marketing team monitoring those comments, so if you come up with any good questions you'd like to ask our panel of experts today, drop those in there and he'll be sharing those with us. We'll try to get to as many of those questions live today as we can. And as you can see in the top of your screen, we do have a QR code where you can be sent directly to our LinkedIn page for you to give us a follow early on in this segment. So before we dive into today's topic, would love to allow our experts to introduce themselves and share a hot job with all of you who are out there in their job search right now. So Kevin, I'll start with you.
Great. Thanks, Allie. Welcome aboard, Krista. My hot job is an electrical designer. It's with one of the top employers here in Kansas City. It's a 6-month contract to hire. They are looking for somebody with some CAD experience, preferably 2 to 4 years in a large environment. We've worked with this client for about 5 to 6 years now. We've placed several people there full-time or on contract. And like I said, this is one of the top employers in the Kansas City market. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. You can find Kevin's job information down below, as well as being dropped into the comments. You can search that opportunity by the job ID number by scanning the QR code at the top of the screen, which will now send you to our career portal, or you can just go to jobs.system1.com and search all of our opportunities there. T, let's head down to you for an intro and your hot job.
Perfect. Hi, I'm T. Ismail. I'm with the team in Houston. My hot job is a remote recruiter located in Sugar Land. The ideal candidate would be a critical thinker, 2 to 3 years of full cycle recruiting, tech savvy, and super organized. So that will be linked below.
Awesome. We love those remote opportunities. Gives us a wider candidate pool here. So good for a lot of people around the country. You can search T's job again by scanning the QR code and using that job ID number. And now, Matt, over to you for intro and a hot job.
Thanks, Al. Yes, Matt Ruby here in Tampa, Florida, at home today, but been with System One now just over 4 years. And our hot job, I wish we had hot jobs, Allie, because we actually have 6 roles, and you only told me I could have 1. So this is one of 6. So if you get in touch with our recruiters, they will go over the others. But this is a D365 architect, specifically within the finance module. Brand new implementation of an international company. This is fully remote. This is the fundamental position as part of the company's new center of excellence. So they will lead the IT finance domain for this implementation and build the framework for the rest of the team to follow. This is the first, again, of 6 that they have right now, but they want to fill this role first because it's instrumental in part of and bringing on the other resources on the team. So excited about it, fully remote, full time, and part of an international organization based in St. Louis. So love to talk to anyone that's interested.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Sorry to limit you there to 1 job, but I'm sure all of them are fantastic opportunities. Right. So if you are interested in that role, again, scan the QR code at the top of your screen, search by the job ID number. You can also connect with all of our experts on LinkedIn. So if you are interested in learning more about those roles that Matt did mention, connect with him. He'll be able to chat with you about those and connect you with some of his recruiters as well. So now, without further ado, let's dive into today's topic, how to stand out as a remote job candidate. So I have a few questions for my experts here. Kevin, I'll start with you for my first question. What specific skills or qualities should remote job candidates possess in order to stand out from their competition?
Thanks, Allie. Some of my answers are kind of obvious answers, but we do got to remind candidates every now and then. Look professional. Look, even though you might be interviewing from home on video or video conference, be dressed like you're going into the office. Don't wear a hat. Don't wear a t-shirt. You know, be dressed, be ready to go. And also, when you're interviewing, talk about other remote jobs you've done. It'll separate you from the other candidates that maybe have not done a remote job. Talk about the jobs you've done. Talk about the projects and tasks you've done remotely, and talk about those success stories.
Great. T, would love to hear from you.
I would also bring up during that interview process ways that you personally stay on task, whether that's using a little journal, your calendar, standing out from competition. That would show that you're detailed and organized.
Awesome. And Matt, any thoughts on the first question?
Yeah, I think the two other things, because they're not going to be able to interact with you, but discuss or have at least on your resume and or references talking about your collaboration proficiency and skills and communication, right? You're going to have to do it all electronically or on the phone. So I think having either references or a LinkedIn profile that speak to that is going to be very important to standing out against other candidates.
Great. And for the second question, what are some unique challenges that remote job candidates face when trying to make a lasting impression, and how can they overcome these challenges? T, we'll start with you.
I would say I always tell people, if your personality is like a 7, if you're doing a remote job, make it a 10, because it's very hard when you're not getting those day-to-day interactions with people. You kind of want to step it up in those remote interactions. That's way they're walking away and remembering who you are, even if that's just giving them a very specific task that you did within your last remote position that can stand out from other candidates, whether that was working with a team, collaborating, or leading a call, or the transition in between going from non-remote to being remote, and letting them know what that looked like for you and how you were able to successfully transition into a role.
Thank you, T. All right. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah,
Matt?
I think the other thing is doing some research on the person you're interviewing with. Like if there's a way to connect, wow, you've been prepared. You looked at my LinkedIn profile. We went to the same school or have the same, sports interest, whatever it might be, any connection there. And then after the interview, maybe Kevin and I come from the same old school background where we send thank you notes. Now it's more emails. That means a lot. Showing your interest, maybe keying in on 1 or 2 points from the interview that you feel like you really can hammer and be successful at. I think those 2 things, Kevin, I know we still write handwritten thank you notes after meetings. So little things like that will definitely set you apart in the electronic world. So anyway.
That's fantastic. Kevin?
I couldn't agree more with Matt with the handwritten notes. We just had a candidate. I think one of my clients was on the fence debating whether or not to hire one client or one candidate or another candidate, and we got him to write a thank you letter, and he got the job. I don't know if that's what got at the end of the day, but I put him over the hurdle and got the job. Another thing to let clients know or employers know is let them know you're flexible with hours and schedule. If the employer is willing to have you work from home or letting you work from home, sometimes you need to be a little bit flexible with hours. It's not an 8 to 5 job. You might be working with people. If you're on the East Coast, you might be working with people on the West Coast. If you're on the West Coast, so you need to let them know, hey, I have no problem working with people in other time zones. That'll kind of separate yourselves compared to other candidates.
Thanks so much. Those are some great insights.
Yeah. And so our next question, Matt, I'll start with you. With remote work often requiring collaboration and teamwork, how can remote job candidates demonstrate their ability to work effectively with others while working in a remote virtual environment?
I would tell you, just being in that environment myself, I think it's over communicating. I don't want to say you can never communicate enough. I don't know. I've been married for 23 years. I've learned how to communicate at least pretty well. But I feel like, you've got to treat that relationship as you would want to be treated. I think that's the key. If there's ever a time where you're not sure of something, then you reach out. Between Teams, texting, calls, emails, there should be no excuse in your ability to reach out and get a hold of someone. So that would be my recommendation.
I would say diving in and just mentioning the ways that you do collaborate during that interview, if that's Teams, Zoom, or different areas of like streaming, which we're doing now, how did you collaborate? How did you navigate that being remote? What did that look like? What role did you play within that team while you were collaborating? What other departments did you have to collaborate with? I would bring up all of those key points and then just go the extra mile in showing that you are fully committed to being in a remote team. Even if that's like, I make sure every morning that, you know, I say good morning to everybody within our group chat or within our teams just to get the day going, showing that you're actually making a connection just outside of collaboration and work, because you do have to go the extra mile in building those skills with one another.
And I'd piggyback off that and agree with T 100%. Also, I'd let people know that you've got experience maybe working on cross-functional teams. I come from an IT background. I come from the IT world. And a lot of teams you're on, maybe you're a BA, but you're working with developers, you're working with project managers, you're working with scrum masters, you're working with testers. Let the hiring managers know that even though it's remote, I've worked with these types of teams, these big environments, people that have these type of backgrounds. So just kind of better positions yourself. You're just not working around. If you're a tester, you're just not working with testers. You're working with several other people with several different types of skill sets.
Yep, all fantastic points. Thank you.
Matt, I'm going to start with you on this fourth question. Are there specific technologies or tools that remote job candidates should be proficient in to enhance their candidacy? And how can they demonstrate their proficiency during the hiring process?
Well, I would say Teams and a lot of these online portals, especially COVID, I feel like everyone has been exposed, even my kids in school. Like my 9-year-old can log in and get to the classroom, right? So I feel you've got to be proficient with one of the online, whether the company's using Teams, Slack channels. I'm just trying to think of some of the other technologies, Zoom, FaceTime. Even now we're doing interviews on FaceTime. So I think you've got to be, at least that would be table stakes right now. If you don't have that ability, you're not going to even be able to log into the interview. So those are things. And if you need help, please ask. I mean, there's user groups and places that you can go where they can help your proficiency there. But I feel like that would be the minimum expectation from a technology before the job interview, where you have to have a baseline of technology skills, at least for me in IT, to get into that interview, to earn that interview. So
thank you. Dave?
And I would also say, just to piggyback on what Matt said, there is also little classes that you can take on LinkedIn just to become a little bit more knowledgeable about how to utilize things actively. I would say if you are a remote worker, how important your LinkedIn actually is, because that's the first thing that even me in recruitment would go to. How active are you on LinkedIn? What are you posting? Where have you worked? So just making sure that that profile is up to date as well. And then also including on your resume which communication tools you've even used that will show that you're used to working in a remote environment. I've seen people even go the extra mile and including that on their resume that this position was remote. That way we kind of know ahead of time.
Absolutely. Kevin?
Yeah, I would let them, like T was saying, I'd let them know the type of video conferencing tools you use, video conferencing tools you use, Zoom, WebEx, Teams, FaceTime. Let them know that you're used to these. I mean, 2 years ago, I've never used any of these tools until COVID came around. And now, not that I'm an expert, but I used all of them now, and different clients use different tools. And so let them know that you understand this technology. It's pretty easy to speak with people, work with people using whichever video conferencing tool you're using.
Absolutely. And I like that you both mentioned the free resources. I've been a really big fan of LinkedIn Learn, and there's so much you can learn. You don't even have to pay for it. So no excuse to learn those new technologies.
And Krista, I think YouTube as well. I think that's like the go-to landing spot. It's amazing how much is there on YouTube for beginners, for advanced, for experts. It's all there for them.
And
absolutely.
And I recently noticed that a lot of Ivy Leagues like Harvard are offering free courses that you can learn how to land remote positions or things that you would need in a remote position, like data entry and Excel formats and things of that nature.
I think having that many resources just really goes to show how important it is for you to have this experience and this knowledge in the workforce in general, and especially looking for a remote opportunity. So thank you all for that insight. And my final question for the group, Kevin, I'll start with you here. What strategies can remote job candidates use to showcase their organizational and time management skills, which are usually very crucial in managing remote work responsibilities effectively?
Yes. Being organized is one of the most important things to be effective working remotely, I would let the client know. I don't know if you use the Outlook, the calendar, or you have a notebook, pad of paper, but let the people know this is how when you're interviewing, let them know this is how I stay organized. This is who I work with. These are the different tools I use. And that helps out a lot because they want to make sure that because most often you're working with a few different teams.
Mhm.
And so you got to let them know how I divide my day up.
And I would go a step further. During that interview, I would also ask the person, what does a day-to-day look like? Is that team getting together every week, every day to talk about the task, see where you would fit in and align with that, and then kind of speak more towards that and kind of figure out how your day would go. So for me, my day every morning starts with emails. Then I know I have a meeting call, and just kind of walking that person through your organization. For me, everybody laughs. I keep notebooks, and I still keep like an actual paper calendar with me everywhere, just so I know that I'm not missing things, and having not just one point of reference, but two, that way you're always on top of your task.
Yeah, I think, again, to continue, that was what I was going to say. During the interview, they'll typically allow some Q&A. So go through your day of how you've done it before. And if references go so far when you're going, provide a reference from your old director, manager, VP, stating exactly what you did and how you were organized, or even help that person become more organized. Oh, wow. Then it's just something you could teach people up or down the ladder within the organization. I think is valuable.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you all. So I want to give you all a chance to go back around again if you have any final thoughts for our viewers out there on how to stand out as a remote job candidate.
Yeah, I would ask questions. Do you have any people working remotely currently right now on your team? How are they being successful? What are they doing? And obviously you can answer those questions based on how they answer that question.
I would also go a step further and just ask them, like, how do you guys navigate the transition between being fully in office and remote? And if the remote position is a permanent role, or is this a temporary decision to be remote?
And I would, again, just up from IT, remote has been, since I started in 2007, remote was there. Remote work was there. It's been much more prolific the last couple of years. So makes it even more competitive now. Instead of just competing against candidates in Tampa, now it's national or international even. So again, I feel like having all of your preparation, references, LinkedIn profiles, even social media profiles, all of those have to be aligned and focused in the right direction, putting out that successful type persona to the hiring managers.
Absolutely. I agree with all of you. Unfortunately, that is our time for today, but want to say thank you to my expert panel, Kevin, T, and Matt. It's always a pleasure having you on Sound Off with System One. So looking forward to having you back on to talk to our viewers about a new job seeker topic in the coming weeks, hopefully. And Krista, thank you so much for being on your debut as a Sound Off with System One co-host. It was great having you here.
Yes. Thank you all for making it easy for me.
And to our viewers, thank you again for joining in. We love having you tune in with us week after week. Be sure to connect with all of our experts here, as well as myself and Krista on LinkedIn. And also give System One a follow on LinkedIn by scanning that QR code. You'll be taken directly to our page. We do have an amazing contest giveaway going on right now. As long as you are following System One on LinkedIn, that's right. All you have to do is go to our page and hit the blue follow button. You'll be entered for a chance to win a Yeti Tundra 45 hard cooler. This contest does end on July 31st, so make sure you do that before time ends. Please join us every other Friday for our job seeker topics here on Sound Off with System One, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We share lots of great resume and interview tips, leadership insights, success stories, and more.
Perfect. And next System One Sound Off episode will be July 14th at 2 p.m. And it's going to be on ATS friendly resumes. So if your resume needs a little upgrade, a little facelift, you're not going to want to miss this one. We're going to have our panel of experts. So we'll see you in a couple weeks.